Hi guys, hopefully this video will work and I won't be rambling to a blank screen or having my computer tell me that it's very hot and needs to calm down. Maybe that's a little bit of a reflection of me feeling right now, but I wanted to make a video in response to LAFEE's video, and I'm going to try and sort of not ramble, so I have some notes about challenging issues of passivity in the divine feminine. Now I'm just going to be giving you guys a huge forewarning. I'm going to be talking about some really um, intense issues close to my heart. I'm not laughing because of the issue. I'm just sort of trying to figure out how to say it. But I'm just going to say it. I'm going to be talking about some sex worker, sex positive, feminine issues, feminist issues, and gender issues that really are, my experience, and that's what I kind of wanted to talk about with this video. Really, just get into how I responded inside to that video. Okay, so for me, everything really hit close to home with what LAFEE VERTE said about passivity in the divine feminine. Because when I came to that goddess-centric knowledge and passion and the voice that it holds and the power that it holds and the sacred space and all that really love-centered self-love stuff, I came into it sort of partway through a transition in my life where because I have spent, probably I'm estimating now about 8 years of my life in and out of being a sex worker online and in person, in many different roles, and also turning that around like as a submissive person, but also as a dominatrix as well. So I've kind of been on both lifestyles, and I've also come from a kink-centric, polyamorous-centric, I guess, LGBTQ lifestyle. So all those interesting dynamics have been thrown into the pot of my life, and it's been fascinating to watch this sort of passivity inside me and outside of me interact with that energy. That's energy that LAFEE VERTE talks about. And I thought it was a really incredible topic because I still feel it's very prevalent. And something that I have dealt with is the issue of, just specifically that really tipped me off was I know that we have all, as women and as men, as women, being approached by men in those various manners, but also as a woman who has had female partners and female interests and female centered dynamics and experiences, I've also felt that same thing from women as well. And it's not sort of gender specific, I guess. So one of the things that I really appreciated about that video was when she was talking about how we all have at some point experienced that level of disrespect and boundaries being crossed, and how we react to it automatically for most of us, even if we don't want to, even if we believe that we are strong, independent, autonomous people who have a powerful stance in life, a powerful way of putting ourselves across and clearly communicating our boundaries, how sometimes that can be um, stigmatized, and how it can also be, I guess, sort of frowned upon to, especially in this sort of in spirituality, to really challenge those people who are crossing our boundaries. And one of these issues that I come up with is someone, I think it was last year or a little bit before them, I had been following a beautiful woman. I'm not going to name her. I'm not even going to name her business or anything like that, because it's a reflection on how I'm feeling and how I dealt with it. And it's something that I've heard before many times as well, where she was walking along one night and a guy was sort of stalking, approaching, sort of sending her these vibes. And she said that she stopped and she turned around and she looked at the person and she basically said, in her mind, don't follow me, don't follow me, go away, that kind of stuff. Like, and she said that it wasn't fear based, and I do believe that's, this woman was in an incredible place in herself where she believed that was to be true, and I can't say that that wasn't. but it kind of got me off guard because I'd heard a lot of other people doing the same thing. And in my experience in the work that I have done in the past, I have been, you get this kind of thing day in day out. Like, it's very rare for you to have a client or someone that you do work with who doesn't want to push your boundaries. It's an industry where it thrives on chaos and drama and fantasies and sort of really tapping into this sort of idea that women are submissive and subjective and sort of you're paying for this experience. And I'd come into the goddess centric lifestyle, the goddess path, the goddess love, the god and goddess, and uh, I was sort of breaking away from this lifestyle that was becoming very heavy, very traumatic, very. I was starting to wake up, I guess you could say, to how I had been disrespecting myself, my body, whatnot, because of this belief that I needed to be a passive feminine person. That I believe, like I had this belief that to be in order to rise above that, in order to gain, even in other industries as well, to gain success, I would need to subject myself to that kind of ideal, like that sort of sex sells kind of thing, but not even that, just everything else as well. And so, long ramble. And what happened was I took this word, these words of wisdoms, and I thought, okay, maybe that is a way that, I'm energetically working with my shit. Maybe I can actually start projecting that feeling of, love out to these people and love out to these men and love out to my clients and things like that. And I do tend to hold, or I have in the past when I was working, I did tend to try and hold a very loving space because that's just who I am. But then it got to the point where, it was creeping into my other areas of life. And the property that we are living in at the moment doesn't have a gate. And people tend to walk on my property all the time and use it as a way to cross through things. I've had people come into my backyard. I've had people like use my, what do you call it, veranda as shelter to just chat in. It's very, very, it's an issue, and a lot of those are men. And I took that stance of it's too scary to go and confront these people and say, you know, um, please get off my property because or in any situation, please do not cross my boundaries. I do not want this. So I went into this idea space that to be a powerful feminine goddess, I would be nourishing, loving, compassionate, and empathetic towards any people, any gender. And instead of sort of facing that anger and frustration and fear, I would send the message for them to leave from my body and mind. And did it work? No, it didn't. Time and time and time and time again, it did not work. Like, why? Because I wasn't saying it out loud. And I think this is an issue too, because, I mean, bringing it back with passivity and the feminine, I mean, I work with the goddess Morrigan. I work with other strong, powerful women and in my life at the moment, and in moon circles and things like that. And time again, I see this passivity. And, I have had a recent experience where I was abused, and it was because I'd fallen into this idea that, saying no, you know, it conjures up all these kind of things with femininity and womanhood and everything that we've been trying to work with and tackle and handle and um, shift from the consciousness of both men and women, and saying no, because I fell back into that pattern of going, if I say no enough in my mind, obviously my energy is going to stop them from doing that. If I say stop enough in my mind, that's going to, create a barrier, and they're going to think, they're going to turn inwards and go, oh, why am I doing this? Why am I feeling this? I should back off from this woman. No, no, that's just being passive. That's not doing anything. And not to say, this is going to turn into a rape culture kind of video or response, or it's just saying merely that being passive does not help anyone, whether you are male or female, especially if you're female. I don't believe in this like purity thing. I just don't, because I believe in polarities. Like, I am just as clean as I am dirty. You know, I am just as aggressive as I am positive. I am just as, I don't know, like light as I am dark. You know, there's just, I'm a human being. I have that capacity to be all those things at once or at any given time. And I just do not subscribe to this idea that um, spiritual purity comes at the cost of having no voice, because spirituality is having a voice. And when you are silent, the silence is because you're holding your own space, not because you don't want to confront something, or you don't want to, or you want to push that idea onto someone else. So something that really triggered that in me, or this response, is that it's the mentality of people who are in higher, and I wouldn't say higher power or higher spirituality, because that's what makes us feel lesser, or it can make us feel lesser and can trigger things in us, because we see people like Alana and think, she's lived her life. She does this for a living. She works this shit. So we think, okay, well, maybe we'll take on these ideas because that person is of a higher standard, a higher standard of living, I guess. Not even a standard of living, what am I trying to say? They're in the media. They have their place as a platform where many people come and take from them, and a lot of people do take that as gospel, and it depends on how you are and where you're sitting with your life. Like, when I put myself out there that time, those times saying no, 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 instead of stepping outside of my house and saying, please remove yourself from my property, you are overstepping your boundaries, it was because I was in fear. Two guys like come to your house. They're both speaking different nationalities, like different languages. What are you going to do? You're going to go into fear mode because you have no idea what they're saying. Does that mean that you should shut up and keep silent? It's the same when I feel like, we need to be quiet in relationships because women, if they speak up, are just crazy bitches. That kind of mentality, it's gone out of my life right now. Like, I don't have to deal with that. But the first couple of years of being a woman, an adult, I had to deal with that shit a lot. Not just from men, but from women as well. If you are angry, if you are frustrated, if you have an opinion, then you need to be quiet because you're a woman, or you need to be quiet because you don't know what you're talking about. And it's something that I think is really important to actually say, because like LaFever said, LaFever said, it is not about being like, it's not about staring that person down. You know, it's not about coming into the room and fighting fire with fire. It's simply about actually really stepping into your own power and having a voice and giving yourself a voice and not being submissive to anyone. If a guy looks at me and I feel uncomfortable, I have the choice to go up to him and say, "Excuse me, could you stop looking at me in that way?" And a lot of the society would sort of laugh at us for doing that, going up to somebody and saying, "Could you please stop?" You get it all the time. This group of guys are looking at you and laughing at you. You go up to them and say, "Could you please stop? You're making me uncomfortable." Most of the time, in that situation, if that energy is being fed or that's the situation going on, they're going to laugh. They're going to laugh. And I think that's what's most worrying. You don't need to be passive, and you don't need to fear that either. And it's something that I really, really would like to put across, that passivity doesn't help anyone. And I do believe in that sort of passivity of the feminine divine energy. The masculine is more actionable and more fiery, I guess. But I don't, again, I don't subscribe to it. I just feel like it's more receptive than passive, and I don't like the word passive with feminine energy anyway. I think that we both have a mixture of that, even when we are in our deeply intuitive feminine place in our bodies and our minds. Like, I can be as intuitive and receptive and open and nourishing and compassionate, but that doesn't mean that I don't have the action steps, the fire in me, the voice, the power to stand up for myself and stand up for my rights as a woman, as a person, and as a being that deserves to not get into this mindset of, feminine energy is all about, being being a light bearer, being a mother figure for these people. No, like, and the thing is, at the end of the day, it's not our jobs to tell them what to think and feel with our energy. It's not our jobs to tell them to stop with our energy. That needs to come from your mouth. And I think that's what I've been trying to say, and I've probably repeated myself a few times. And I guess really it comes down to, like, my experience has come down to being able to step up and really acknowledge that I am part of this world, I am part of society, I am a human, and I definitely feel every fucking thing. Everything there is to feel, I have felt, and I will feel. And it's not necessarily also about, discouraging the fact that some of this stuff does come from you. Like, it does. And that's the passivity comes from also, like, denying yourself or being in avoidance as well. And that's another topic I could talk about for hours as well. But I think it is important as well to, when you are noticing that you're being passive and submissive and subversive and feeling like you need to climb back into your little box, that you do step out of it and ask why. Like, why do I feel like this? Why am I being triggered by this? Um, where am I in myself that I feel like I'm not able to step up and put these boundaries in place? Where am I in myself where I feel like I'm such in a fear place, that, or in such a loving, loving, loving place that I can't speak, I can't move, I can't do something about what's making me uncomfortable. Like, why do I feel like that? Why do I feel so silenced? And that's what I feel like this passivity is about. It's about silence, and it's about finding various ways to silence yourself, basically. So I hope this video didn't confuse too many people and I rambled a little bit, but that's just my perspective and my thoughts, and I hope it was very clear. So I will talk to you guys later, and thank you so much for making this video, LAFEE VERTE. I really appreciate it. It put a lot of things into perspective for me as well. Bye guys.